Okay, so we now, of course, have the study from several months ago where we found out that 1 in 25 death row inmates is actually innocent. That's about 4% of those inmates on death row. We now have a new study that shows that a majority of 100 executed inmates in this study had a severe mental illness, such as schizophrenia, PTSD, or psychosis. And because of this oddity that exists in the Supreme Court's decisions on death penalty cases, it is not atypical that these individuals are executed by the state. There's a pair of cases that were decided back in 2002 and in 2005, where the Supreme Court held that it is unconstitutional to execute intellectually disabled inmates and individuals who committed capital offenses when they were under the age of 18. And as the court explained numerous times in these cases are rooted in the fact that certain offenders have, quote, diminished capacities to understand and process information, to communicate, to abstract from mistakes and learn from experience, to engage in logical reasoning, to control impulses, and to understand the reactions of others. And thus, it would be cruel and unusual to sentence to death and to execute those with severe mental illness who are younger than 18 when they commit a crime. That part makes sense to me, doesn't it, Lewis? So far, that it's logical.
I think that's fine, yeah.
So the rationale is that if you execute, that it's simply unfair to execute people in these cases. And in this study that was conducted by researchers Robert Smith, Sophie Cull, and Zoe Robinson, they found that the overwhelming majority of executed offenders had intellectual and psychological deficits that rivaled or outpaced those with intellectual disability and juvenile status. So we have to ask ourselves, why is it only wrong when the capital offense was committed prior to age 18 to execute individuals with severe mental illness? Or why do we feel good about, why is it right when they were older than 18 at the time the crime was committed? Is not mental illness mental illness?
I think it is. And of course, we shouldn't have the death penalty anyway. But, a lot of people could ask, well, should someone with mental illness have to spend life in prison too if they're just ill and can conceivably be rehabilitated in some type of special facility?
Well, you could make the argument, Lewis, right? You could say, listen, we shouldn't kill. I actually think there's a good argument to be made why that is more acceptable. And the argument is clear to me. If we kill this person, number one, the Supreme Court has held that when the offense is committed prior to 18, that it is actually wrong to execute those individuals. Why should it be different if they're over 18? If for the time being, we aren't able to rehabilitate them, let's say they are beyond rehabilitation, yes, you sentence them for life to either a psychiatric prison facility or other life in detention type of situation. But how do we know that in 15 years, we might not have new methods to treat these individuals such that they could be in society without posing a danger to others? We don't know that. And the definitiveness, the finality of the death penalty is a problem.
It is. And not to mention the costs. I think you're right. There are going to be some cases in which these people cannot be rehabilitated and will always be violent and dangerous. But like you said, who knows what's possible in the future? We should just lock them away, maybe until they die, maybe until we find a cure.
And remember, this is not a new thing. This country has been punishing and jailing the mentally ill for hundreds of years. This is just not in any way new. It's just taken on a slightly different form. And imagine for a second, if we have one circle, which is the 1 in 25 on death row who are innocent, and another circle, which is those on death row who are mentally ill. If we imagine a sort of Venn diagram where these two circles intersect, I think statistically speaking, there are innocent people who are mentally ill on death row.
I would put money on that. Of course, certainly that's happening.